Hey everybody, welcome to a special edition combination episode of Sports Rambling The Attic and Sports Rambling Sunday Spotlight. Hey everybody, welcome to Sports Rambling with Brian Belcito. Like I said in the open, today I'm bringing you a special edition where I'm combining two of my shows that I typically do. So we're combining The Attic, where you've seen me open packs of baseball cards and introduce new memorabilia to my collection, and Sunday Spotlight, bringing the positivity. So I'm putting those two shows together today because this is a special weekend in baseball. So if you didn't already know, Sunday, baseball will be celebrating the 100-year anniversary of the establishment of the Negro Leagues. So I think that is a very special day. Like I said, baseball is going to be commemorating the anniversary of the establishment of the league. So I thought today would be a great day to bring a little bit of the positivity, a little bit of the history, which I'm sure a lot of people already know some of the bigger names. And the combination with The Attic is going to be that about a month ago, it was announced that a favorite artist of mine who I've followed for 3 or 4 years on Facebook, his name is Graig Kreindler. So it was announced about, like I said, a couple months ago now, that he was commissioned a couple years ago to do a set of baseball cards, paintings of baseball cards of the legends from the Negro Leagues. So I wanted to maybe go through this and this set here and talk a little bit about some of my favorite cards and some of the history behind some of the cards. So, like I said, Major League Baseball will be celebrating the establishment of the league on Sunday. Players, coaches, managers, and umpires will all be wearing a commemorative patch on their uniforms. The bases will have a commemorative, they're calling it a jewel, on the bases, and also on the lineup cards there will be a commemoration of the Negro Leagues as well. So, in my opinion, the celebration of this is super important because the Negro Leagues were, while there was a really ugly history back then, there was also some great history that came out of it, like the integration of baseball by Jackie Robinson being signed by Branch Rickey and the Brooklyn Dodgers. So there are cards of Jackie Robinson in here. There are also some cards of players that you will recognize from the major leagues, guys like Hank Aaron, Larry Doby, who was the first black player in the American League. There's also a Minnie Minoso card, a Monty Irvin, a Roy Campanella, and an Elston Howard card. So those cards really stand out in the set because of the names. Now, let's not get it twisted here. What really makes these cards stand out is the amazing artwork of Graig Kreindler. So about 2 weeks ago, I had the opportunity to sit in on an interview with Graig and really get a feel for the set and a lot of his other art. He's done stuff mostly baseball stuff, Mickey Mantle, Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, and then he was commissioned to do, I think it started somewhere in the 150 range cards for this set, as well as it went up all the way to 280 cards that were chosen, and then they settled around the number 230. He was commissioned by a collector named Jay Caldwell to put this set together, and I was lucky enough after the interview that I sat down with him, which was conducted on the Let's Talk Baseball podcast network, which is run by my boy Jake Robinson. You can find that page on YouTube. Go ahead and check out his YouTube page. There's a lot of content on there, and our interview with Graig Kreindler is on there as well. So after we did that interview, I was able to get in contact with Graig, sent him 3 questions that I had about the sets, and he sent me back some audio. So I'm going to go ahead and let Greg explain to you a couple things about the set and how it came about and what his favorite card is currently and what his biggest challenge was in putting this set together and getting all these paintings ready to be put up in the Negro Leagues Baseball Hall of Fame and eventually made into this set. So I'm going to let Greg take it away, and I will be right back.
Though I can take credit for, I guess, the imagery within this card set, it's really kind of because of a collector out in the Pacific Northwest named Jay Caldwell that this whole thing came to life. I was approached by him about 4 years ago to do about 15 or so small paintings of some of his favorite Negro League stars, and eventually I think he got it in his head that the centennial of the formation of the Negro National League, which happened in February of 1920, was coming up, and he eventually hired me to, do paintings that were to coincide with that celebration. And what started as 15 or 20 paintings quickly grew into 50, and then 75, and then 100, and then 150, and then 200, and then finally 230 paintings. And Jay was very interested in kind of getting the story of the Negro Leagues out to as many people as possible, and, kind of celebrating them and showing off those paintings that I had done. And for him, the best way to do that, he felt, was to make a card set, which is what we now have. And I think even though, it omits about 40 or 50 of the paintings that I had done for the show, I think it's just a great educational resource for people who are curious, people who are baseball fanatics, and people who just want to know about the Negro Leagues. It's kind of hard to pick a favorite from the set and stick to it. I feel like I have a new favorite every other day or so. But I think my latest favorite, one that I've been gravitating towards a lot recently, is card number 27, which is of Perucho Cepeda. Cepeda is actually the father of Orlando Cepeda. And he was a star in the Latin American leagues and kind of spent his whole career there. He was recruited by a couple of people, including Alex Pompez, who I think he was the owner of the Cuban Stars at the time, to join the Negro Leagues in the States. But Cepeda always declined because he just could not stand all of the racism that was going on in the country at the time. But anyway, the portrait itself is just, I thought, pretty haunting. Just there's something about the look in his eyes in this image that just gives him a real presence, and it's definitely just been one of my favorites lately. I think the card that was probably the most challenging for me is actually one that didn't get made. In fact, it was a painting that didn't get made. I was tasked with painting all of these Negro League greats from the past, and one pitcher who I could never come across a photo of was George Stovey, who was considered maybe the best African American pitcher in the 19th century. There are literally no confirmed images out there of this man. I think a lot of Negro League historians kind of debate whether certain images do depict him, but nothing has ever been confirmed. So for me, he was kind of a glaring omission in this card set and the painting set. Someone who I just really wanted in there, but just could never get it together, and could never find an image of him. And there are a lot of players like that who I had trouble finding images of, or quality images of, but I think the one that was the hardest and that upset me the most was definitely George Stovey.
Hey, so welcome back, everybody. There you have it. Words from the master himself, Graig Kreindler, on how he was inspired to do this set and just some of the artwork that he came up with that he liked best and some of his challenges that he came across. So now, in response to some of the questions he answered for me, I wanted to talk about real quick a couple of the cards in the set that I really like. So first, my favorite card when I went through the set, it really stood out to me, was the combo card of Josh Gibson and Satchel Paige. I think it's a beautiful card. It really brings to light the two of them who, Jackie's the biggest name to come out of there because he was the first one to cross the color line in baseball, and that started the integration of baseball. But there's something special about Satchel Paige and Josh Gibson. A lot of historians believe that at the end of the day, if baseball had integrated much earlier, say right around 1900 or so, and they were able to play their entire careers, both Satchel and Josh Gibson, if they were able to play their entire careers in Major League Baseball, the record books would look vastly different. Josh Gibson was known for his monstrous home runs. He was a catcher. He was a big guy. He hit a ton of home runs that probably got lost in the mix because there's not a lot of historical statistics to really, the amount of games these guys played. They played in the Negro Leagues. They played in international leagues in South America, in the Caribbean. So these guys played all over the place, and they put up some humongous numbers that may have altered the way the record books look today. So that's my favorite card. Then you've got another few cards that I really like individually that stand out. So you've got the Jackie Robinson that's pictured here. I think that's a beautiful card. Jackie was a great player, a great man. It just, that card pays great tribute to him and his features. It's just a beautiful card. The Josh Gibson in the Homestead Grays uniform, I love that card as well. I also love the Satchel Paige that's pictured here and the Cool Papa Bell. That's like four of the real big names. You also had Rube Foster, a couple other guys. I mentioned the major leaguers in the first segment. So those are some of my favorite cards. Those are the ones that really stood out to me the first time going through the set. Another one that I wanted to address that I think is just a beautiful card and has a great history behind it. And, one day I may look at it and say, this is my favorite card in the set. Because I'm going to continue to look through these cards and read the back of them and all the history. But one that really stood out to me as well is the Unknown card. So this card has an amazing story behind it. When Jake Robinson and I had the chance to interview Graig a couple weeks ago, he told us the story behind the Unknown card. So he was going through all of his research and talking to historians, and Graig found that there's a lot of history of the Negro Leagues and a lot of the statistics and the players that are kind of lost. So, and what I mean by lost is the fact that back then, black newspapers maybe came out twice a week, 3 times a week. So these guys were playing every day of the week, maybe an off day here and there, but they were putting up stats that just got kind of lost in the wind and lost in the shuffle. So his idea was, when he was going through some of the pictures, is he found a picture of a team picture, and he found this guy on this card, on the Unknown card. Doesn't know his name, and just thought that he really stood out as a representation of all the league statistics and players and everything that was kind of just lost in the shuffle. So that's another card I love. I think that story is amazing. So, and then, moving on to another 3 cards that I didn't even notice these cards when I went through them the first time, but I got to pay my respects to them because as I was doing my research, I found this story. Once integration into the major leagues had happened, the Negro Leagues was really on some slippery footing, and eventually they got down to the point where the Negro National League had gone away. There was only the Negro American League, and with that, they were only able to establish 5 teams. So they were really hurting, and as a way to bring in some fans and try to up the fanfare for the league, they brought on 3 woman players, and they were Tony Stone, Peanut Johnson, and Connie Morgan. And these cards that Greg did are just beautiful. I think they really stand out in the set as well as something that establishes another story, another offshoot to the importance of the Negro Leagues. So there you have it, folks. I mean, this set of cards is now it's now just a prized possession in my collection. So I'm really happy to be able to have shared some of the stories behind these cards. You can see they got Satchel Paige on one side, and they've got Rube Foster on the other. So I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here real quick. But I also want you to realize at the tail end of this and throughout this also, there's going to be contact information for Graig Kreindler, so that if you want to communicate with him and see how you could possibly get a painting commission that you've always wanted, or something like that. There will also be some information for where you can get the set itself on retail. It's really affordable. It's 160 cards. It's an affordable set. I think I got it for somewhere around $50. It's a really nice set. And then one other thing, we're going to put the website for the Negro Leagues Hall of Fame. They were hit really, really hard this year in light of all the COVID stuff, the shutdown, and they had a really big year planned with some exhibitions and stuff within the walls of their Hall of Fame. They were also going to be a big part of some celebrations throughout baseball, but baseball's done a nice job in getting something scheduled for this Sunday to really celebrate that. So I want to do one last thing. Right when baseball started, it started to come out that Bob Hendrick of the Negro League Baseball Hall of Fame had established an online thing that went viral. So you had, something goes big when you get, 4 of the former living presidents. You got Jimmy Carter did it, George W. Bush did it, Bill Clinton did it, Barack Obama did it. So athletes like Michael Jordan did this as well. Some other guys like Derek Jeter, Magic Johnson, a slew of celebrities have done this, and I want to add my input to this as well. So let me just close up this episode by thanking you for being here, and closing it out by saying to the Negro League Hall of Fame, to the history of the Negro Leagues and all of the baseball players that played in it and eventually made it to the major leagues as well, I tip my cap to you. Thank you very much. And that is it, folks. Thank you for joining me again on Sports Rambling. Much love to everybody out there. Stay safe in these crazy times. I appreciate you guys following me, sharing any of the episodes that you liked. Just getting started here, hoping you guys are enjoying it. Thank you again, and I will see you on the next episode of Sports Rambling with Brian Belcito.